UFC Fight Night Vegas 25, Reyes versus Prochazka just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, and my overall event recap, starting with the early prelim opener of Luke Sanders versus Felipe Colares. I mean, amazing fight to start off the card. This card was full of great scraps going to a decision, and eventually towards the co-main event and main event, it just got crazy. But Luke Sanders versus Felipe Colares. I picked Felipe Colares as an underdog here. I thought he would get this done. I said 29-28 as the rounds went on. Maybe there'd be a close first round between him and Luke Sanders. You got to give the first round to Luke Sanders. Second and third, Felipe Colares. I mean, the guy is so tough. And he just kept walking down Luke Sanders in that second and third round and barely got the nod over Luke Sanders in a very close fight, just because Luke Sanders' body language was that of a loser in the second and third round. Even if it was close on strikes, Felipe Colares was the one walking him down, landing the bigger shots. Seemed like he had a little bit more in the tank as well, and Luke Sanders just did not have the energy as this fight went on. He did take this one on short notice as well, by the way, so maybe that was the reason why, but I got this one correct. Amazing fight to start off the card. Felipe Colares gets it done, and I picked him to do so exactly that way. Moving on up the card, Andreas Michailidis versus KB Bhullar. Again, I had Andreas Michailidis by decision. He got it done by decision. I did phenomenally well on this card, by the way. I'm very proud of myself here. I made a lot of money on the bets. I'm just going to gloat for a second. Amazing prediction. I got Andreas Michailidis by decision. Very close fight, in all honesty. KB Bhullar was landing shots, but all of the good ones were landed by Andreas Michailidis, and he landed too many in round one and was really badly battering KB Bhullar in round one, had him hurt against the cage a couple of times. Round two, he barely edged out that round in round two. Just landed more of the effective shots and more shots overall on KB Bhullar in round two. Then round three, KB Bhullar actually started doing quite well, but still, Andreas Michailidis stayed in there round three, landing good shots, but KB Bhullar just landed too many of those shots to the legs, which gave him that round ultimately. I thought this was a 29-28 for sure. I called it to be a 29-28 unanimous decision to Andreas Michailidis, and it was exactly that. And he showed great... He didn't show great stand-up, to be honest with you guys. He got a takedown at one point and was on top for a little bit, and that secured him some rounds as well. But he was swinging so recklessly, and KB Bhullar just did not look like he wanted to be in there, and just did not look man enough to do it, to be honest with you guys. He did not have the grit to sit down on his punches and make Andreas Michailidis respect anything. So Michailidis was just winging bombs towards him, knowing that KB Bhullar's not going to have anything to answer him with, as any form of danger whatsoever. Andreas Michailidis, crazy swinging, but he gets the job done. 29-28 unanimous decision, exactly how I said. Moving on up the card, Loma Lookboonme versus Sam Hughes. I went with Loma Lookboonme. I said she would get the job done by TKO in the third round with knees in the clinch. Kind of the story of the fight. I mean, great fight while it lasted. Loma Lookboonme for sure won those first two rounds. Sam Hughes actually started having a bit of a good third round as well, but I still think that round can go to Loma Lookboonme, because just Sam Hughes was landing some good punches, but Loma was still landing more of the shots. Those knees to the body were just constant throughout the fight. I thought that was winning her the clinch exchanges against Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes would be pushing her up against the cage, and Loma would be like sort of cutting in those knees to the side of Sam Hughes throughout the fight, and I thought that was just winning her those neutral exchanges. She was landing the total strikes in the right positions. Great fight while it lasted. Loma Lookboonme's takedowns looked amazing. Her front kicks are amazing as well. I like the way she fights. She does slow down a little bit in that third round, but the takedowns look really good. She looked really strong. Sam Hughes is a decent grappler, and Loma Lookboonme shook her off, got her down whenever she wanted to. It was a great scrap, but Loma Lookboonme gets it done and looked really good in the process. I'm glad I picked her, just I didn't get the TKO with the knees, but it was a huge factor in the fight as to why she beat Sam Hughes. Moving on up the card, Poliana Botelho versus Luana Carolina. I picked Luana Carolina as a massive underdog, and I made money on Luana Carolina as a massive underdog. I just thought Poliana Botelho slows down as fights go on. Didn't seem like she really wanted to be in there tonight, to be honest with you guys. After the first round, she really started slowing down and just sort of handed the fight away to Luana Carolina, really, who got some good scramble positions on the ground and some reversals of some bad shots from Poliana Botelho. Also landing some good significant strikes on the feet as well. Great ones to the body. She landed a lot of body kicks and some good body punches as well. And she just really wore down Poliana Botelho as this fight went on. Botelho was the the older girl. I thought I'd go with the younger Luana Carolina, who was a little bit bigger as well. Ended up paying off. Wasn't the best scrap in the world, but then again, women's, you know what I'm saying? Moving on up the card. I got that one correct. But Kamaka versus TJ Brown. This is one that people are going to want me to talk about. Now, if you look at the stats, it seems perfectly understandable as to why Kamaka lost the fight rounds 1 and 3. They have it 34-22 for TJ Brown in round 1. That did not happen. In my opinion, I thought Kamaka won the first 2 rounds. I thought TJ Brown won the 3rd round. I thought it was 29-28 Kamaka. I understand the stats say otherwise, but I thought that all of the clean shots that were landing from Kamaka. Like, don't get me wrong, TJ Brown was having some good moments, and he is dog tough to come back in that 3rd round after being hurt in the 2nd the way he was. But to give that fight to TJ Brown, I just don't see him winning that 1st round. The 1st round was a clear one for me to Kamaka. The only reason I gave him the 2nd round against TJ Brown is because he knocked him down at that one moment as well. Whoever gave it 30-27, that's what inevitably gave TJ Brown the fight. How did they not score a round that was even on strikes pretty much, where Kamaka landed the more strikes of the round and he knocked down TJ Brown? He landed more significant strikes, he got a takedown in round 2, and he dropped TJ Brown badly and almost finished him. They gave that round to TJ Brown. The judging tonight was fucking crazy. And I think the Poliana Botelho fight was also a split decision. Like, it was absolutely crazy tonight. Just terrible decisions. I thought that Kamaka won the 1st and 2nd round. Either way, moving on, that was terrible. That's the only fight on the card I technically got wrong, but I'm still going to call it a win. I picked Kamaka. He looked good out there, man. Had some good moments, but TJ Brown is really tough in that 3rd round to come back the way he did, and he actually had Kamaka rocked in certain moments. I just thought Kamaka did enough to win in that 1st round by landing the cleaner shots by far. Moving on up the card to the next person on the card, who is Luana Pinheiro versus Randa Markos. Now, let's talk about this one as well. I forgot there are so many things to discuss. Now, one thing, before we even get into the stoppage, Luana Pinheiro is really good. She landed good combinations. She was landing good shots moving backwards. She was catching Randa Markos coming in. She was landing a lot of slams, a lot of hip tosses, things like this. Just really good slams on Randa Markos. Very Montserrat Ruiz style against Cheyenne Bays, if you remember that fight. Luana Pinheiro tossing around Randa Markos every single time they engaged in the clinch. Pinheiro landing good shots. She gets up. She gets hit with an up kick. I know that people aren't going to come down on her the way they did against Aljo because she's female and she's not going to get hatred whatsoever for this. She's probably going to get called more brave. But she faked it. And this is going to be a recurring theme. Aljo has set the precedent. You are rewarding fighters for how badly they are hurt by fouls by giving them a win if they are more hurt. That should never have been a rule. It should be the same result. No, if a fight ends in a foul, if the winner does the foul and that's when the fight ends, it should be a no contest. If the loser commits a foul, then it should be seen as a sign of wanting to do a foul to get a win and cheat. Then it should be a disqualification. Whatever though. I'm just sick of this. I feel like this is going to happen so many. I think every single time there's a foul or a groin shot, I worry about this now. Every single time there's an eye poke, I worry about this now. Even if it's not a bad one. If they just say they can't see, they'll get a win. It's so annoying to me. But Luana Pinheiro clearly faked it. She looked down, saw that Randa Markos, oh my god, it was an illegal strike, and then flopped backwards afterwards. There was a moment of delay. Before that, she was absolutely fine. She got kicked. It was a good up kick, don't get me wrong. She looked down. She saw, oh wait, that was a grounded shot. Flopped backwards on her back and act like she can't see anything. What an absolute shit show, but she got a job done in the 1st round, and I said she would win in the 1st round as well. She looked good other than that, though, so she still is a contender in that division for sure, and she's pretty hot. Moving on up the card, to the main card. Merab Dvalishvili versus Cody Stamann. Amazing fight, in all honesty. Great grappling bout, great scrap back and forth. I was really impressed by Cody Stamann. I picked Merab Dvalishvili to win this one by 29-28 unanimous decision. I thought Cody Stamann might be able to steal that 1st round. Other than that, I thought Merab would be able to win in the 2nd and 3rd, and that's exactly what happened again. To a T, I liked it. I thought the first round could go either way. Stamann had some good moments in the grappling, but I thought Merab could have edged it. But then again, I didn't really know, so I kind of had that round going either way in the first. Then the second round came around, and it was just basically, you know, Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown. It's basically what this fight was. Both guys had good grappling moments. Merab was winning the grappling moments the majority of the time, but sometimes Cody Stamann would reverse, end up on top. In fact, Cody Stamann ended up having more control time than Merab, but Merab got more of the takedowns. Pretty evenly matched in the grappling. Merab had the advantage, but it was Merab's total strikes in the meantime that won him that fight against Cody Stamann 100%. It was just whenever Stamann was on top of Merab, Merab was punching from his back. That was just all it was. Just keep punching in neutral positions in grappling situations, and you will win those moments just by being the one that's doing something, and Merab knew that full well. I got the job done with total strikes, exactly what I said would happen. 29-28, came back in the second and third. Close first round, still could go to him, but I thought he got cracked by a couple of shots that looked like they wobbled him a little bit. Either way, he's a problem for that division. I want to see him versus Jimmy Rivera next. If they want to make that fight, I think that'd be a very good one. Jimmy Rivera's got great takedown defense, good power on the feet, good stand-up. I think that's a match made in heaven. Really good fight, though. Merab looked great. Had some risky stand-up. Does get a little bit wild here and there, but he can afford to be because he's always got guys thinking about the takedown. And come the second half of the second round, Stamann just seemed completely gassed out. In the third round, he was on top, but he just didn't really have the energy to land big shots on top to really do anything in the judges' eyes. And Merab Dvalishvili gets it done. A big win for Georgia. We'll get to the other one in a second. Moving on up the main card, Sean Strickland versus Krysztof Jotko. I picked Sean Strickland by third round TKO. I thought he would get it in the third round, it looked like for a second, but Jotko was just not going to be TKO'd in that fight, and that was very, very obvious as this fight went on. He was not going to allow himself to be KO'd. I think that was basically his objective at one point in the fight. As soon as he realised, oh wait, I'm in here with a different kind of beast in Sean Strickland, he kind of just thought, you know what? Who needs a win bonus? I'll just keep my consciousness and make it to a decision. I don't know how, and again, down to these judges, I have no idea how they did not score the third round for Strickland. One judge, Adelaide Bird. Again, Adelaide Bird. Why is his name still here? Adelaide Bird, 29-28. They gave Jotko round 3. Round 1, 26-14 to Sean Strickland. Obviously that as well. Landed good leg kicks, landed good front kicks throughout the fight that really helped slow down Jotko and bring those hands down. Then he started landing that jab and cross. Then the second round came around and it was just him piecing up Jotko the entire time, landing good knees, landing good combinations. Round 3 comes around and he's doing better than ever. Beating up Krysztof Jotko, landing good shots, landing good flying knees, landing good front kicks to the body, landing great leg kicks as well. And then they gave the third round to Jotko somehow. I have no idea what the judges were doing tonight. Absolute madness. Either way, Sean Strickland had an amazing performance, and I want to see him versus Kevin Holland next. 100%. That guy could be something in that division, that middleweight division. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. For Jotko, step back, maybe against Brendan Allen, something like that might be a matchup they make. Sean Strickland, you're jumping forward. Let's do him versus Kevin Holland. Maybe the co-main event of a fight night, or even the main card of a pay-per-view, or the headliner of the prelims of a pay-per-view, or something like that. Maybe in September, the headliner of the prelims, Sean Strickland versus Kevin Holland. Something like that. I think it'll be a great fight. I also like how Sean Strickland said, you lost to Krysztof Jotko at the end when he acted like he'd won with his hand up or something like that. Good stuff. Sean Strickland being Sean Strickland. I'm just very glad that he didn't talk as much. I was looking forward to it, but I actually think it showed a good layer of confidence and professionalism for him to go out there and just stick to the game plan for 3 rounds. And I also liked that he mixed in more kicks. He walked down Jotko the whole time, mixed in more kicks. I liked his game. He looked good. Occasionally in the first round, he is there to be hit on the chin because he does rear his head back a little bit. As the rounds go on, he just gets way more comfortable in there, way more confident in his hands, and just looks better and better as the fight grows. I'd love to see him in a 5-rounder. I don't know who would beat him there in the division, but listen, the only people to beat Jotko are what? Uriah Hall, Brad Tavares. Good fighters, really good fighters, ranked contenders in the middleweight division, so Sean Strickland definitely does belong in that division. Looking forward to seeing what he can do moving forward, but I want to see him versus Kevin Holland. Great performance by him, though, and I picked him to win as well. Just didn't get that third round TKO that I wanted. Jotko wasn't having it. Moving on up the card, Ion Cutelaba versus Dustin Jacoby. Now, Amazing scrap. Literally an amazing scrap. I thought this... Here's what I think. Because it's all about the scorecards you want to hear. The score is correct. It was a draw. But the way they got to a draw was completely incorrect in my opinion. I don't mind the argument that Cutelaba can sneak the third round. In my opinion, that is an argument. I don't think it's a good one. I think that Dustin Jacoby won the third round. It was a close third round. And Cutelaba did land a lot of shots and looked like he got a bit of a second wind as the fight went on. Second round, the fact that someone gave that to Cutelaba, I think, that is absolutely ridiculous. That should have been 10-8 first round for Cutelaba, second round Dustin Jacoby, third round Dustin Jacoby, and I'm sure everyone will agree with that. But one thing I do want to mention as well, that first round, if Cutelaba can somehow learn, he's young, he is a young fighter, and he has a chance to rebuild from this because it's only a draw. If Ion Cutelaba can somehow learn how to have that same energy in round one throughout the fight, he will be an untouchable monster because he looked absolutely phenomenal in round one. Ragdolling Dustin Jacoby all over the place, landing great elbows and good ground and pound shots. I actually called a first round TKO to ground and pound from Ion Cutelaba. I thought he would do exactly this to Dustin Jacoby. I referenced the Khalil Roundtree fight where Ion Cutelaba took him to the ground and battered him there. I thought that Dustin Jacoby was going to suffer the same fate, but Cutelaba went all out for the finish in the first round, threw a bunch of output. Second round came around, he had to take a little bit of time off. Third round, he actually showed up in there to win. I just wish he would have shot a takedown at the end of the third. There'd be no harm in trying that, because if he ended up on top, maybe he would have snuck this win. But a very close fight, extremely close. Cutelaba was up on the total strikes by 11. He was barely under on significant strikes because of that second round. Close fight though, man. Really close fight. I think the draw was correct, but the way they ended up at a draw was incorrect in my opinion. I don't know how they didn't score a 10-8 in the first. And if they didn't score a 10-8 in the first, how did they give 2 rounds to Cutelaba? No idea what the judges were doing whatsoever, but that's what happened. Moving on. But the fight itself was good, though. Fight itself was good. Ragdolling in the first round. Jacoby starts picking apart Cutelaba in the second. Then Cutelaba starts really loading up in the third and showing that he wants to stay in there. I'm a fan of Cutelaba, man. I know that he does a little bit of antics at the weigh-in, but it got us anticipated for this fight. He's a monster in the first round. I wouldn't mind an immediate rematch 5 months from now. They're both pretty young in their careers. I know Jacoby's 32 or something, but still pretty young in his MMA career. I say do a rematch in 5 months. Cutelaba's the god of rematches anyway with the Ankalaev situation, so let's do another one. Cutelaba, you've got to figure out how to stop trying to kill everyone with every single punch. You will go far at light heavyweight if you can control your pace. Moving on up the card, Giga Chikadze versus Cub Swanson. I went with Giga Chikadze, and I thought he would win by decision. He did not do that. He did a flawless victory against Cub Swanson. Completely annihilated him and made him shit his guts out in round 1. Body kick TKO for Giga Chikadze. Brutal body kick right to the liver. Down goes Cub Swanson badly. Finishes him off like Michael Chandler, Dan Hooker style. I picked Giga Chikadze to win by decision. I did not expect him to go out there and obliterate Cub Swanson in the first round. He definitely overperformed. Amazing that he did. I'm sure he's going to get a whole bunch and more fans. I know he called out Max Holloway. And recency bias is a big thing, and some people will now say, I want to watch that fight. Do you guys? Count me in. You can't do number 1 versus number 12. And I think that number 12 is where Giga Chikadze is going to be ranked in this division with that win. Maybe number 11 or 10. Who knows where he's going to go. I think a better matchup for him would be either Bryce Mitchell, the winner of Burgos Barboza, or maybe even the loser of Dan Ige, the Korean Zombie. We'll see how things go. Maybe Calvin Kattar, maybe Josh Emmett. I don't know. I think Kattar, Emmett, Allen, Holloway, I feel like those guys, Yair Rodriguez, I think we're going to see Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar sit out for a little bit. Maybe Josh Emmett, Arnold Allen, something like that. I don't know what's going to go down, but I reckon we'll have to get a loser of something to take on Giga Chikadze. Or maybe just do him versus Sadiq Youssef, even though he's coming off a loss. He's free right now. I'm sure he wants to get back in there. Let's turn him around for September or something like that. No, there's another fight to go through. Brutal body kick by Giga Chikadze in round 1. Finishes him off afterwards. Amazing performance. Really, really overperformed and put on a good show for Georgia as well. They went 2-0 tonight. But something else that happened. Dominick Reyes versus Jiri Prochazka. A star is born. And he has a weird haircut, and I love everything about it. Jiri Prochazka is on the scene. I made a full reaction to this on my channel if you want to go and check it out right now, but I'll give a little bit of a rundown. It was absolute chaos. Absolute chaos. I can't describe it in any other way. Jiri Prochazka might just be the funnest fighter to watch ever. I said it was Vicente Luque not too long ago. It's got to be Jiri Prochazka. He is must-see TV. You have to tune in when Jiri Prochazka is on the screen. He absolutely lives under chaos. He creates chaos. He thrives under it, and his opponents don't. It's not about what you can do to Jiri. It's can you survive in Jiri Prochazka's kind of fight? Can you make him pay in his kind of fight? It's not if you can implement your game plan and stay behind your jab. It's you're going to look sloppy. It's Jiri in front of you. He's going to make you look sloppy. And it's going to be an absolute chaotic shit show while it lasts. And Jiri thrives under that. He thrives there. Reyes was landing good shots back every now and again to give Jiri that respect. But Jiri's chin is pretty good, we found out, because Reyes was rocking Jon Jones with those shots more often. But he eventually did actually tag Jiri in that first, at the end of the start of the second round. He tagged Jiri, went for the guillotine. Jiri pops out of it, ends up on bottom, but scrambles out the back and ends up on top, landing good shots. Then the elbows against the cage were some of the most devastating elbows you will ever see. And Jiri gets it done. These light heavyweights are better than Jon Jones. And I'll tell you this right now. You know what? Let's actually test my theory. People will be... I'm sick of it, man. I'm not even going to check. But people right now, I can guarantee you, are going to be talking about how people aren't the same after they fight Jon Jones. People just, Jon Jones took their soul, man. All of the fighters that fight Jon Jones go on losing streaks. Like, it's nothing to do with Jon Jones. Jon Jones did not take Reyes' soul by losing to him. Reyes beat Jon Jones 3-2. These new light heavyweights, Jan Blachowicz, Alexander Rakic, Jiri Prochazka, especially Jiri Prochazka and Jan Blachowicz, are on another level to Jon Jones right now. Jon Jones is clearly on the receiving end of a massive testosterone dump at the end of his career, because he's been on supplements and illegal stuff his entire career. It's very obvious he has the testosterone level of an Asian woman. In this part of his career, he took Thiago Santos on one leg to a split decision. He took Reyes to a decision that he lost, clearly, if you have eyes. He took Anthony Smith to a 5-round decision. Glover destroyed Smith. Like, I think they're better than him. I think they would beat Jon Jones right now. Maybe not Glover, but definitely Jan Blachowicz and Jiri Prochazka. They're better than him. I'm sick of people talking about how Reyes hasn't showed up since his loss to Jon Jones. And I'm already seeing that the media members are probably going to go on the narrative of it wasn't that Prochazka won, it was that Reyes lost. How did Reyes lose? Not how did Prochazka win. It'll be why did Reyes lose? I can already see it happening. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Jiri Prochazka's crazy. I liked the attitude of Reyes to always throw back. He was throwing whilst running away. Back fists at Prochazka just to get rid of him, and Prochazka stayed on him, swinging those bombs, and almost put him out in the first on multiple occasions. Got clipped in the second, but bounced back, turned it around for a brutal elbow finish. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. Prochazka versus Rakic. Reyes versus Krylov or Santos. And the winner of Prochazka Rakic fights the winner of Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira. Toodle pip. See you later.